in the penalty area. His shot! Oh, what a finish! Todd Cantwell! Now Cantwell does have space! Oh, that's brilliant!
Episode 4 of Challenging Stereotypes, and it's Mental Health Awareness Week, so what a better subject to talk about than social media and the impact of it on people and players and how they deal with it. So it's amazing to have Todd Cantwell, who's been instrumental this year for Norwich, on the episode.
What a guest to have. He's very vocal on social media, uses it really well, and is now, of course, and officially a Premier League footballer. We're gaining promotion with Norwich, so we're very privileged to have him with us. Hello and welcome to the fourth and final part of our Challenging Stereotypes with Warpaint and Norwich City for this series. And we're delighted to welcome a Premier League footballer to the mix today, Todd Cantwell from Norwich City. Thanks for joining us, Todd. How does it feel? First of all, congratulations on the promotion. Congratulations on being champions. And you're back in the big time. How does it feel?
Yeah, it feels amazing. It's exactly what we set out to do at the start of the season. But obviously, it's a lot easier said than it is done. So no, it feels brilliant to get it over the line.
And what that brings as well, Todd, is attention. And what we're going to talk about today is your social media presence and what you've done in recent years and how it's affected you. I mean, just give us a little bit of a sense of the difference probably from the Championship to even being in the Premier League. You've been there before, so the attention on you as players.
Yeah, I mean, it's completely different. I think in the Premier League, everything is watched 3 or 4 times. The games, the coverage, the reports. So naturally, obviously, your name's out there a lot more, and actually, your private social medias are with more eyes. So yeah, I think the difference is quite big actually, in terms of attention and bits and pieces like that.
So Todd, for me, in terms of social media, so with my background with my business, and we do something a little bit different in terms of men's makeup. We do receive a lot of hate or abuse via social media. Have you experienced much of that? Because I think everyone does, and if so, sort of, have you got any mechanisms of how you deal with it or anything like that? Definitely exposed to it. I think I get it daily, to be honest. Constant messages. But to be honest, I'm at the point now where a message from someone that feels that they want to try and undermine you or try and insult you, it says a lot about them, and response isn't needed in that sense. I think the point I've got now is it's like a black wall. So to be honest, it doesn't ever get through. So someone could say the nastiest thing in the world and it wouldn't bother me at all. But I've obviously gone through experiences where it has bothered me before. You don't just get to that point. 2 years ago, sort of when I broke through into the first team, off the back of games that were difficult and bits and pieces, I'd receive a lot of stick. And like Darren said, in the Premier League, you're open to so many people. You're open to a lot more people that think it's all right and want to do that. So naturally, obviously, you get it, and you, like you say, you have to find a way to cope with it. And for me, it's as simple as these sort of people are the sort of people that have nothing better to do, and that makes them the sad people, and it shouldn't affect you. Just through my personal experience, when we first launched, we got a lot. We went global in a viral way, in a negative sense. That almost destroyed me personally, because I took everything very personal, read all the comments, and now it's completely different for me because we still get it daily. But again, for me as a brand owner, I'm saying, well, that's not the person I'm trying to reach anyway. And I think it's probably similar for you as a footballer. Anyone who's giving you abuse probably isn't, the proper football fan anyway, or someone you're trying to impress anyway. So it's great to hear that you can you've come through that in a sense.
Absolutely.
And Todd, you've talked about it very well there in the sense, but I kind of hear in your voice about how you've been taught this as well. This isn't something you've just learned yourself. What has Norwich City as a football club helped you alongside with the social media? What did they put in place to give you to have the tools to be able to deal with that? Because it's not just learned by yourself, is it?
I think it's a bit of both, to be honest, Darren. I think parts of it you have to learn by yourself, and parts of it, you don't want to speak. I think the club for me personally, have got great people that I can feel like I can speak to, in the sense of I've got people part of the media team that I'll speak to about different bits and pieces, and they're constantly to give advice and
And obviously, like you say, no one can feel how you feel when you're receiving certain messages and bits and pieces. I remember doing a piece with the club about mean tweets with Alex Tete, and sort of Tete was laughing at every single tweet that came out, as much as he couldn't believe someone would tweet it. And to me, I was a little bit more like, yeah, what goes through someone's head to do that? Like, you know, what do you get? Because you're not affecting me. What are you trying to achieve? That's the one part about it all, the whole thing, you know, the abuse, you know, all of it. I don't understand it. I don't understand why people, what they're trying to achieve. I honestly don't. And I know that's probably what most people say, but, you know, hand on heart, I have no idea what someone's trying to achieve if you send someone a nasty comment, or, you know, get personal with someone. I just don't understand it.
And you know as well, Todd, the more success you have, the more attention you're going to get, the more abuse you're going to get online. It's just a standard process that footballers have had to put up with over for many years. I mean, looking back, you know, I played with Robbie Savage, who you'll know is a very good friend of mine. Played with him at Leicester, and Robbie kind of courted it a little bit. He went out there, he was a little bit different in the way he looked. He was different in the way he dressed, but it made him in terms of the player he was. So, you know, I'm not comparing you to Robbie Savage, but in terms, you're a far better player than he was, by the way. But in terms of your personality and the way you are, it's quite similar. And that to me is, I think, your natural personality, but also that makes you there to be shot at, doesn't it? Because you are different, you do stand out, but that will actually further your career. So it's a very clever thing to do as well in terms of putting yourself out there. You've got to be yourself. But yeah, you know, do you constantly think about how you know, is it constant everyday battle now to think, right, how am I going to be doing this? How should I do that?
No, do you know what? Honestly, Darren, you know, and Danny, I can be completely honest and say that, wrongly or rightly, I do as I please with respect. It's your life. You have to be comfortable in yourself. You have to be comfortable with what you're putting out. And, you know, I'm a firm believer in that you can display how you feel by what you wear and how you look. And I think you're completely free and open to do that, no matter who you are, no matter what you believe in, who you are. I think you should be allowed to do that without being judged. Ultimately, like you said, you know, you will. But I'm at the point now where I'm so comfortable and so happy with what I've achieved and what I've done, that it doesn't bother me in the slightest that someone might say, oh, you know, he's done a cartwheel through, you know, through clothes, like Ben Gibson said recently. You know, I know he's obviously only joking and bits and pieces, but some people can be nasty with it. Some people can actually try and offend you. I think jealousy is probably the biggest thing. I think that's where it stems from the most. No one likes to see someone else doing well for some reason. I don't know why. For me, whenever I see one of my friends or I see someone that, you know, I read up a story on that they've done well, the first thing that comes to my mind is to say, you know, credit and well done to them, or congratulations. But to some people, you know, I don't understand why people would try and do that, and unless they're really unhappy with their lives and how they're doing it, they want to drag someone else down.
I think it's almost been the British way a little bit, isn't it? You know, it's kind of, we do like to drag people down, build them up and knock them down. We've seen that with players in the past, with David Beckham and Wayne Rooney, and to get to a certain height, and all of a sudden it's a way of knocking them down. And we did one with Luke Chadwick a while back, similar sort of scenario. It was the press that brought him down. And back in my day, I didn't have to deal with the social media side of it, Todd. It was for me, it was like, you look at your scores in the paper and you could go out and you could relax and you could get away from it all. But there's nowhere for you to get away from it now. You know, it's constantly there at your hands 24 hours a day. And that's a very different thing to what I had to put up with. So how do you kind of, and I knew by us letting off steam as a team and bonding together, we could do that in our own privacy, but you don't even get the opportunity to do that. So how do you as a team and as players kind of manage to create that team spirit without being able to go out like we used to in our day?
Yeah, no, it's a dangerous tool in many aspects. You know, I think it's a very powerful tool, social media, but I think it's a very dangerous one as well. I think it is very much on the line in my reflection of it. I think the way I use my social media now is to try and bring knowledge and advice and positivity to other people. It's not really for myself anymore. Like you said, Darren, you know, I think the days of just being able to have a game and not hear about it until Tuesday if you went out is fantastic. You know, I'd absolutely love that. And I've thought before about, you know, social media and not having it and not needing it really. I don't see, you know, the reasons for me personally that really benefit me. But I decided to go against it because I realized that I do inspire quite a lot of people, and especially young people trying to achieve things in Norfolk. I think they can look up to me, and I think if I can show them and sort of continue to present myself in a way that I want to be presented, that they feel like they can do the same. And I think that's probably one of the main reasons I've kept hold of it, and one of the main reasons that, you know, I'll continue to put stuff out and to try and inspire people.
Well, that's fantastic to hear.
Yeah, great, mate. Because that's the other thing with social media; it can be very hard and negative in a sense, but you do see a lot of top footballers, including yourself, using it for real social good, which is amazing, and the reach you can get is incredible. So on that point, obviously there's been a social media switch off and a bit of a protest, and you were part of that. So what do you think about that sort of movement and what it's trying to achieve?
I like a lot what it's trying to achieve. For me, it seems very straightforward. You should have accountability for your account. I think it's far too easy for someone to create an account, say something horrendous, and not have any sort of way of being tracked down. In my head, I can't understand why that's not being something that's being put forward. I think, blacking out showed the togetherness of footballers and the way that, if you've got no content as such, then you can't do it. But ultimately, come Tuesday morning, I've seen people straight back to abuse from posts and messages that went across over the period we tried to black it out. So I think, to be honest, I think it's something that has alerted people to say, this is a real thing, and people aren't happy with it and people want change. But I think that there has to be steps taken, like I say, where there's accountability for your account. And ultimately, I think that would definitely be able to stop it. And if not stop it, then it will be able to catch the people that think it's okay to do it.
Do you know what I always said? Can you imagine if they just put, you have to have an account, you have to put in a registered number, a registered address and a postal address, and then you get a letter, and then you can sign it off or something like that. Because I've seen it before, the abuse, and then people have been taken down, or you can block them, and then 2 minutes later it's another wacky name comes up and it's the same person. So hopefully by the blackout, it might, the bigger organisations might take a look at it more seriously.
Definitely.
I mean, it seems like an easy fix, doesn't it? We all seem to say the same things, the verification of accounts. It seems an obvious fix. Why they're not do it, I don't know. But so Todd, in terms of the changing rooms again, that I know from my experiences, and you'll know from your experiences, the kind of, I don't like the word banter, but the kind of togetherness that flies around in the changing rooms. Do you think that's kind of prepared you for that online social media abuse? Because there's no place like a football changing room. It is ruthless, and you know that from growing up and coming into the system. You have to be strong mentally to be able to deal with that anyway from that. But, from your teammates, you seem to take it on a board a little bit more as a joke than it does when it's somebody who's faceless in the public. Do you think that's prepared you well?
Yeah, definitely. And I think there's always the thing that you can tell with being around someone in person is that there's always a respect there. With a message or a throwaway comment, you really can't see anything other than what it is, and it's wrong and it's disrespectful. So I think being in a changing room and like you said, even being a young player coming into the changing room, of course you're going to be open to banter. Of course you're going to be open to those things. It's a test. It's a test to see if you can cope. And as you know, Darren, that's probably 10% of what you get on a match day if there's fans there that are open and paid their money to say whatever they want to say. So I think that the changing room, I think you're right. I think as long as you know that there's respect there, and definitely in this changing room there is, there's banter all the time. And I think if you walked in, you might think, oh, that was a bit too far, or that sounded wrong. But I guarantee you, the lad that's giving it and taking it will be laughing by the end of it. And I think that is the difference. I think if it's a joke and people are in on it, and you can see that it's not bothering someone, then by all means, you've got to have fun. You've got to, like you say, build a bond and togetherness, and ultimately, you feel closer to that person once you can laugh it off. So I think it's definitely obviously a good thing to have in the change room, but there's always a line to it.
Yeah, and how have you felt without having the fans there, Todd? Because particularly at home, and obviously having the Norwich fans there make a massive difference. It's been a great season, and to experience that without them there is difficult. But also the abuse side of it, when you go into away games, you're not getting any of it. So has it been an easier environment to kind of play football in? But I knew, and I know what probably your answer is going to be. the more abuse I got from the away fans, the better I was playing. Well, that's what I felt, and I used it as a way to inspire me to play even better. Did you use that as a similar way? It's kind of turning that negativity around into a positive.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's different when you're getting pressure from your home fans. I think that's where it feels a bit different for me. I think I've gone through that with the Norwich fans, where the anticipation of what you're going to do next kind of builds the pressure onto your shoulders. Thankfully, I've got through that, and like you say, I think it is in football, it is sink or swim with that side of the game. You have to learn to be mentally tough and to be able to block things out, but you don't have to be mentally cold. You can still speak about how you feel in different situations and know when to do that. But for me, it's part of the game. As I see it, it's part of the game. And I'm in love with the game. So for me, it's a small factor that is massively outweighed by all of the good that comes with being a professional.
So Todd, for me, talking from a different angle, in terms of social media, in the positives, who is it that you follow and you like their content? Who do you think puts some good stuff out there?
It's a good question. I follow quite a few people.
Do you follow Danny Gray, Warpaint?
He will now.
I will now. Exactly, I will now. No, to be fair, I've got quite a few of my friends. My sister's very good. I think she uses her account in the best way possible, to be honest. She's constantly putting out positivity, awareness, about the planet, the ways that we can be better as people. And that's something I really tune into. Account wise, like I say, I do honestly use my Instagram more to put out to people as opposed to spend a lot of time on there like I did when I was younger. But yeah, no, I mean, off top of my head, my sister's fantastic at doing that, and I think if a lot more people were like that, the world would be a better place, definitely.
I think as well, Todd, it's been good for you to get out and do these type of things and be in the media and have a presence and speak your mind, because I think people always have a perception about footballers. We know that, but when people get to meet you and speak to you, they feel differently about you. So it is important that you kind of do engage in social media to show your personality and show you're just a normal guy.
100%, and I think that's where you have to be strong. You have to be powerful about it. There's no point being half-hearted about it. I've been pretty open on my social media about we are people as well. Just because we play football makes us no different to anyone else. And I feel quite strongly about the fact that people should be left alone in that sense. If you want to follow someone, follow them. If you don't. No one's telling you what you can and can't do and who you can and can't follow. And to me, honestly, I think it's quite disheartening for the younger generation to see some of the things that happen, because I've seen some of the things and you can see the way it's affecting people, and people don't seem to see the line or see a limit to what they can put out. And for me, I think being strong and being powerful and kind of being open enough to say, no, I'm comfortable with who I am and you lot should be as well. And it's no different that I play football, whether I work in the supermarket down the road. We're all people and we all deserve the respect, that you should get.
Love that, mate. Love that. So the things I'll take out of today's conversation is social media for good, which obviously that you do, and it's an amazing tool to use. And then I think that whole message you say around, I think everyone will get hate on social. I don't think it will ever disappear. And it's about what you say, recognising about the people that count. Do you know what I mean? Or the people that are saying those things, you should, it shouldn't matter to you. So it's a really strong message, mate, and really appreciate you having on today to try and challenge that stereotype, as we always do. And great chatting to you about social media, and well done for this season, mate. Incredible. And I would like to say it's the Warpaint effect, but I think you had a bigger part to play, mate, than I did.
No, thank you very much. No, it's been a pleasure. It's been a pleasure speaking to you both. Thank you.
Well, Danny, I think that was a brilliant insight from what is now a Premier League footballer again. And he speaks very well about it, and he kind of shows the tools he's got and he's used to the social media for good effect. And he's almost a bit of a trailblazer for players going forward, isn't he? Because he's of that generation where he's experienced the bad, he's learned how to turn it around for the good towards him and use it in a positive manner. And I think he's at that point in his career now where things are going to get bigger for him. So for me, he's a real trailblazer in what he's doing.
100%, mate. I was really impressed with him, if I'm honest, in terms of the age he is and understanding social media, the power of it. From one side of him knowing he's going to get those negative comments and like where he used to struggle with them or maybe think about them now, he switches off from it, doesn't really care, and then he knows what he should be using his social for. Someone especially with a presence that he's got, being a Premiership footballer, it's amazing for him to be using it in such good ways and really powerful. And I think a lot of people can take that on board, as that's the way social media should be used. So, top guy, and let's hope he plays as well next season.
Yeah, look, he's a great kid, and I think looking at the ages as well, but I think he's very social media savvy, but also the way he talks very well. I mean, at the age when I was his age, I don't think I could string a sentence together as well as he does in terms of, he's almost grown up really quickly. I think you can see that in his football this season as well. So, that's something that a modern day footballer's having to learn to do, not just grow up in terms of going to the change rooms and playing football. They've had to grow up and learn how to be a social media beast as well out there in front of people.
I think that's right, mate. And it's a different world from probably when you were playing and at that age. And, there's a lot more, just because of social media as well, there's almost a lot more responsibility on these players because their day-to-day is, it's out there for everyone to see. So it's so great to see the way he's embracing it and using it for good and understands it at such a young age, and that, he has to be careful with it.
Yeah, it's fantastic. I mean, look, we've had a brilliant series that we can have a run through now of the guests we've had. It seems a long while ago with lockdown and everything that's gone on in the world, but
who did we have first? I can't remember, mate. Who was it?
We went. It was go big or go home in the first episode, wasn't it? It was one of those. And of course, it was Mr. Stephen Fry. I mean, what an unbelievable guest to start things off. Incredible,
and he was as nice a guy to me as what you see on telly, and as intellectual and thought-provoking and everything. And the things we touched on in that episode, for me, it really hit home about his beliefs, and like even when I was talking to him about my own personal journey and how he can bring a story to life and relate it to something quite simple to make you understand it, was just incredible. Top guy. Yeah, but also as well, like, for me, it was about how he still, he understood his profile and he understood the effect he can have on people. Yet he was still quite, I guess, almost a little bit frightened about the responsibility he had, because people do listen to him, and he kept saying about how I'm not a therapist, I'll just talk to people about my experiences, because he's very conscious of people listening to what he has to say, because people do hang on his, we did that day, you hang on his words and what he says. But like we've said all the way along, it's not about trying to give someone advice, it's about talking about your own experiences so they don't feel so alien. And do you know what, he actually said a comment which really hit home for me, and that was about time. And we're all trying to make changes and do stuff, but he said it does take a long time, and it's all these little things that we do that lead up to this, and we're not going to get to this point straight away, and we just got to remember that, but everything we're doing is making a difference. And honestly, that hit home for me so much, because I'm always trying to get to this point as quickly as possible, and it's impossible. You need to go through these points, and he sort of, when he said that, it really hit home for me. So if you can't listen to Stephen Fry, who should you listen to?
Exactly that. And like you said about the timeline, is actually, do you know what? How far has the world come in terms of social media and mental health within the last 5-10 years? Think about another 5-10 years time, how much further it's going to be again. Seems like a long time, 20 years, but actually it's not in the big scheme of things when you're trying to change those stereotypes, isn't it?
And that's moving on to our second guest, Amal, like talk about time and what she's trying to do, and it couldn't be more right for what we're talking about, where she looked, if you look back even 10 years or 5 years ago about homophobia in football, it was absolutely inconceivable about someone coming out as gay, which we touched on, and gay footballers, where we've progressed a lot in the last 5 years compared to the last, I don't know, 100 years. So just shows with Amal the amazing work she's doing, that time, it is a big factor, but we are moving quicker.
Yeah, but also as well, it was like, she still understood that we're still at the beginning of that, really.
Oh, do you know what it is, Matt? I just want, everyone with war paint and all it is, I just think, I honestly think I want people just to be able to have a choice, or just do whatever you need to do to feel comfortable. Even Todd talked about it on our last chat, he wears what he wants because it's what he wants to express himself with. And he was quite, I don't really care, but it makes me feel better. That's what I believe in with a war paint. It's just about makeup. I don't care about that. I care about people being able to do stuff to make them feel comfortable to be the real them. If that's come out as gay, if it's wear a dress, if it's to do this, then do it. And I think the work Amal's doing is a massive step towards that being accepted, or eventually someone coming out as gay as football, which will be a huge step, which will then lead on to many other things. So hats off about.
Yeah, great stuff. Absolutely. And we mentioned Todd there, and we talked to another footballer, a former footballer before, in Luke Chadwick, about his experiences, and again, before the time of social media, and how he was bullied through the press, essentially. And because he was bullied through the press, it almost became that was okay. If the press were all saying it to him, we as a nation and as people can feel okay about it and laugh at it, and without realizing just the effect it was having, because he wasn't getting it in the changing rooms. He wasn't feeling it from his fellow professionals. He was getting it from outside in an era where there wasn't the social media side of it. So to have the effects that it had on him, considering without the social media, he talked very well about that, about how, he just wanted to raise awareness and say, just be careful what you're saying to people, because it's not okay just to dig people out because of the way they look.
And and again, when we talk about this time frame, which is quite a good thing to talk about, is if you look back when Luke was playing, about the press and what they could get away with. They can't get away with that much anymore, which is an amazing thing, because the press used to control everything in terms of, how they would, about Luke. It was absolutely outrageous. He said he saw it the first time on the newspaper and it changed for him overnight. Like similar to me getting bullied. I didn't ever think about something until I was bullied, and then it changed overnight. And it's just great to see the press, still are the press, but I don't think they can get away with what they did with Luke because of time and people's reactions to it, and becoming savvy to say you can't be doing stuff like that. So really interesting.
Yeah, it's been we've had fantastic guests. And what have you kind of got out of this, Danny, from Warpaint's point of view, and the whole series, what we've done together? How pleased are you with the way things have portrayed, and what kind of message do you hope it gets out to people?
Do amazing, mate? And I think, talking about brand partnerships, sponsorships, this isn't a sponsorship, it's a partnership, and doing stuff like this is what I want to do. And do you know what, when we do all these talks, I'm talking to these people of notoriety, and everyone's saying the same thing. We're all talking about mental health or stereotypes, and it just should be okay. And for me, it's refreshing. Even with Todd, even saying I just want to wear what I want, I can see how much we are getting better at it, but we've still got a long way to go. So for me to do stuff like this, and with you, mate, it's been an absolute pleasure. You're a legend.
Yeah, and I feel the same way. It's been an absolute pleasure, mate. Sometimes you meet people in your life that you just bond with and get on well with straight away, and I think we had that. And on behalf of Norwich City, I'd like to thank Warpaint for your continued support in the football club, and actually for Norwich City being able to partner up with brands like yourself. And that for me is something that I'm hugely privileged to be part of.